Hello, everyone. Hope we are all enjoying our Saturday. So, I was at a con about a couple years ago, and I was at one of the panels, and one of the panelists said something about that not every character needs an origin story, and it just kind of got me thinking. And personally, I don't mind origin stories if they're done right. Like the Joker, for instance, that was made in 2019 with Joaquin Phoenix. That's a absolute masterpiece. Um, but don't watch the sequel though, because that one was terrible. It was definitely a flop. Lightyear, on the other hand, which was Buzz Lightyear's origin story that came out in 2022, that was not good. It didn't do anything for me. It was definitely a letdown because I grew up with Toy Story and I was looking forward to it, seeing a film about Buzz Lightyear, and it just was not good. And I think the problem was it just wasn't very well written. Like, if it had a better script, it may have been okay, in my opinion. And to me, there just wasn't any purpose or story to it. Like, it didn't contribute to the Toy Story franchise to me. But I do sometimes feel like origin stories are necessary, like when it comes to Iron Man, Superman, Batman. Um, like the Iron Man, the first one that came out in 2008, and the Superman from 1978 with Christopher Reeve. I think, it's totally necessary to start with an origin story to see them become Iron Man, become Superman, become Spider-Man, etc., etc. Because it wouldn't make sense. Like if, for instance, they would start off with Superman 2 or Iron Man 2, they just threw him in full suit. Like we'd be like, where did you come from? Who are you? And stuff, and other thoughts like that. So it is, to me, it's necessary and good to like see like how the superheroes like came about, like them becoming not just their identity, like with Tony Stark for Iron Man, Clark Kent, Superman, Peter Parker, Spider Man, blah, 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 whatever else. Um, it's good to see how they became their superhero identity. But some origin stories, again, like Solo, I believe it came out in 2018, 19, one of the two. They did an origin story on Han Solo, which, from those who he is, he's from Star Wars. His I did not care for that movie much. It didn't draw me in. And that was another one I was looking forward to because, I like Star Wars and Han Solo is, a good character. And I think it was also one of those ones that wasn't very well written, and like the script just wasn't great, and I don't think it did very well in the box office, if I remember correctly, or maybe it did, I don't remember, but um, audiences did not seem to care for it. However, Revenge of the Sith, Episode 3 of Star Wars, was definitely a good origin story of Anakin Skywalker becoming Darth Vader. The Episode 3 was the best one of the prequel trilogy of Star Wars. And it's great to see, how Anakin Skywalker becomes Darth Vader. And the scene where he's fighting Obi-Wan Kenobi, like on the fire, and, you see his skin getting burnt off. And at the end, they're putting the Darth Vader suit on him. That was probably one of the best parts of the Star Wars prequel trilogy, seeing Anakin become Vader. So I really believe that that origin story of Darth Vader is completely necessary because fans want to know. Um, well, it was Anakin Skywalker at the time, like his background, what he went through, and what led him to become to the dark side, to become this dark villain. And so we kind of know and understand Darth Vader's background. So that the prequel trilogy of the Star Wars Episode One, Phantom Menace, Two, Attack of the Clones, and Three, uh, Revenge of the Sith, those sequels, were completely necessary. So in cases like that, I do believe that the origin story was a significant part of the Star Wars franchise. Another one I did not care for so much was the X-Men Wolverine. Like well, the first two, where Hugh Jackman plays Wolverine, where he's got blades coming out of his knuckles. Um, I really do like the character, the Wolverine, and Hugh Jackman is great for that role. Just the first two just were not made well for me. However, once we get to Logan, the third one that came out, I believe it was 2017, 18, I want to say, but that was a good one. That was a good epic conclusion of the Logan trilogy. And the last one I want to mention, which this was hit or miss for the box office and the audience. Some people liked it and some people didn't. Was Mufasa, which came out last, we're in 2026 now, so late 2024. That one I personally liked. I know some people didn't, and because Mufasa has always been one of my favorite Disney characters, and um, I grew up with The Lion King also, and I've always wondered why his Mufasa's brother Scar became a villain because his Scar's character is really dark. If you've seen The Lion King, you know what happens, what Scar does to his brother Mufasa. So I've always wanted to know Scar's background, which they explain in the movie Mufasa. So, and that was another one I was really looking forward to seeing when I heard they were coming out with it. And if you didn't like it, that's fine. I it was, something that I've, always wanted to see, and now they came out with it, and we know, I'm not going to spoil anything, but we know Scar's background and where he's coming from, which it's another one of those things like I feel like it is necessary to know. So to sum things up, does everybody need an origin story? No, probably not, but main characters, like I mentioned the Joker, Iron Man, Superman, and Darth Vader, they're a pretty big deal. They're pretty significant characters in the Cinemaverse. And I think it's, people do want to know their background. And basically, what the audience and fans want is a good story. So if you're going to write an origin story about somebody, at least make it watchable. Make something people want to see. Because they want connection with characters. And if there's no purpose or connection there, then why write the story? So I can kind of see both sides of where if origin stories are necessary or not. And like I said, they can be if they're written well, if they're done right, if there's connection, there's a purpose to it, because that's what audience and fans want. That's what they like. Um, Feel free to drop anything in the comments if there's an origin story I did not talk about, or if you agree or disagree with me, you can always drop that in the comments. And don't forget to like this video and feel free to subscribe to my channel, Living on Film, and be on the lookout for more vlogs. And thank you all for watching. I will see you guys again very soon. Thank you and be safe.